Hey guys, this is Joy. Welcome back for another video. For today's project, I'm using products from Tailored Expressions to make this really ghostly Halloween card. Now, everything that I've used to make this card is listed and linked below in the description and also on my blog. Now, I'm starting with a piece of sugar cube cardstock into my MISTI, and I'm using the Cutting Edge Ghost stamp and die. This is a red rubber stamp, so remember when you're using a red rubber stamp in your MISTI, take that little foam insert out, otherwise you won't be able to stamp it correctly. I have that lined up towards the bottom of this card. Even though I'm going to be doing die cutting, I just needed to measure it out because this will be at the bottom of this whole card that I have planned out. I'm inking that up with Oreo ink because it is Copic friendly, and I will be doing some Copic coloring in just a little bit. And so I stamped that a couple times to get a nice, good, crisp image. Now I'm taking a piece of masking paper and I'm going to lay that down and just do a second generation stamp on it. And then I'm going to trim that out so I can place it onto my ghosts. Now here is the coordinating die, and it just cuts the top part of the ghosts out. So I'm going to tape that down in place and run that through the die cut machine. And as you can see there, you've got this bottom piece, and then you've got the ghosts all die cut at the top, which is really cute. Now I'm just going to fussy cut out the masking paper, cut on the black line or even on the inside of the black line for your masking. Now that that's done, I'm going to peel off the release paper and adhere that down. And as you can see, it fits inside my stamped lines. Now I am taking a circle stencil, the masking stencils from Tailored Expressions, and lining that up on another piece of sugar cube cardstock towards the top, and I've just taped that in place. And I'm taking some lemon meringue ink from Tailored Expressions and just doing some easy ink blending, leaving it a little bit lighter in the center. This is going to be the moon, so I'm leaving it a little bit lighter in the center and a little bit darker on the edges. You also could bring in a second color to add a little bit more dimension to the moon, but I was actually trying to keep it fairly simple. I really wanted it to be all about the ghosts. Now I'm taking the masking circle part of that die, covering up where we just inked, and now we're going to make a really fun green glowing background. Now I am starting with Lime Zest. It's a really great green, and I'm going around the moon and down part of the card. I'm not worried going all the way down to the bottom because that is where the ghosts are going to be. Then I'm coming in with some cilantro ink, and I think Lime Zest and cilantro work really well together, not just in this ink color, but I think so in food. And I'm just going to blend these two colors together. Now remember, this is dye ink, so it is going to look a little bit splotchy, but that will even out as the ink soaks into the paper, and you will get a gorgeous blend. Now I'm bringing in some poppy seed, just a little bit around the edges. So I want this to have a little bit of a darker green look, if that makes sense. And so I'm adding a little bit of black just around the edges of this card. Blending it in, making sure everything looks good. If I need to come back with a little bit more green, then I can do that. But as you can see, that gives it a good spooky feel. Now we're going to ink up this bottom portion of the ghost. That's why we did a mask. And I'm just going to ink it up using the same Lime Zest ink first, coming in with some cilantro, and then finishing it off with that poppy seed ink. I'm keeping it fairly light up by the ghosts because the moon shining down would make that a little bit lighter. Not that I'm an expert on where the shadowing and things like that, but that part I did know. So there's the poppy seed ink, bringing that in, getting a good, beautiful blend. And you'll see how that lines up on the card. Just making sure everything is perfectly inked up. Now let's peel back this masking paper, and now you've got these great little ghosts that are going to fit on the bottom of this card. I just needed to add a little bit more ink on the side there where my mask was covering. So now let's do a little bit of Copic coloring. Super simple, you guys. I did Copic markers T1 and T3 for the ghosts. I'm laying down the T3 a little bit darker in some spots. I will come back in with T1, and then I will also come back in with the blender marker and just soften the edges of that. Then I'm going to use R00 and R20. And these ghosts are super simple. You could also use a blue color or a light turquoise for these ghosts. You don't just want to leave them white. It doesn't look like they're colored. It looks like you left it uncolored. So definitely with your white images, come in with a very light color. So for like snowmen, I would use a light blue or a light turquoise. You could do the same thing for water and for ice. It just brings them to life. So now I'm going to come in and give their little mouths a color, and this is R00. You could also give these guys some cheeks, and that would be pretty cute. I did R20 for a little bit of shadow effect inside of their funny little mouths. And now that that's done, I need to line up my sentiment on my card. So I'm taking a piece of acetate, taping that into my MISTI. I'm going to stamp my sentiment that says Ghostly Greetings onto that. Then I can take my card panel and line that up perfectly using the acetate and move my card around where I feel like the sentiment would be the best. So I'm just lining up my ghosts there, sliding that card up, you know, moving it around, making sure it's centered perfectly. Then I can use my magnet and hold my card panel in place, move the acetate out of the way, so I taped it down with a hinge, ink up my sentiment with Oreo ink, and stamp that down right onto the moon. I learned this technique from Taylor at Tailored Expressions. Super awesome. Now adding some foam tape behind this for dimension. I want my ghosts to look like they're 3D in front of this fun moon. Something about this card reminds me of Ghostbusters, and I think it's that color of green. It looks like Slimer green, which your ghost could be slimy green too, and that would be really, really cute. Now I'm taking a sentiment from the Mini Strips Halloween, and in a previous Halloween video I have shown you that I stamped those and die cut those and how I store those. Really cool products from Tailored Expressions. Taping this to a piece of ebony cardstock, Oreo cardstock from Tailored Expressions. Now it has a nice frame around it. These other little ghosts I colored off camera, colored the same. I realized I needed a few more ghosts. Die cut those. Again, that's from the Cutting Edge Ghosts. Added those down with some foam tape, taking a black glaze pen, adding it to the dots of their eyes. It just makes their little faces pop. Then I'm going to come in with some glossy accents on these eyeballs because I felt like you needed some more dimension on these ghosts. And then they turned out really, really, really super cute. I love how this card turned out. It's a very fun Halloween card. And that sentiment at the bottom says Happy Halloween. Isn't that a great card? I love how this turned out and the fun dimension and the great colors. Thank you guys so very much for stopping by. I hope that you enjoyed this project. I do have some affiliate links below. It costs you guys nothing to use, but it does continue to help me. If you like what you've seen, please subscribe to my channel. Thumbs up, comment, share. That is really important and I appreciate it. Thank you. Bye.